Happy Saturday, everyone. This is Eagle News. I am EJayGonzales in Washington. It's the last day of September 2023 here in the nation's capital. The week's recap begins with a looming U.S. government shutdown this weekend. What happens then if or when it does shut down? Rosel Feria reports.
Come Sunday, if passage of the bills needed to keep the government funded and open is prevented, here are some things the country can expect to happen. Hundreds of thousands of federal employees would be furloughed without pay. Members of the military and other workers deemed to be essential would continue working but also without pay. An estimated 1.8 million federal workers would not be paid for the duration of a full shutdown. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget estimates that around 850,000 non-essential workers would be furloughed as well. During the shutdown, operations classified as essential will continue to operate. In previous shutdowns, benefits checks have continued to be paid. Air traffic controllers, border patrol agents, and hospital staff have remained on the job. But several services would likely be affected. These include new applications for Social Security and Medicare, food and environmental site inspections, and national parks. But should a funding deal be reached, these restrictions would be lifted. All affected employees would be paid retroactively. The shutdown's economic impact on families and the country as a whole is also anticipated and dreaded. Rosel Feria, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Meanwhile, in Canada, the country commemorates the victims and survivors of the residential schools. These were government-sponsored religious schools established to assimilate Indigenous children into Euro-Canadian culture. Reports say that children, who were often referred to as savages and were forbidden from speaking their languages or practicing their traditions, were also physically and sexually abused. Thousands of them never made it home. Yolanda Espiras tells us how Canada is honoring victims and survivors of the unfortunate journey.
September 30th marks 10 years of celebrating Orange Shirt Day in Canada. On this day, Canadians recognize and remember the residential school experience and honor the ongoing journey of the survivors and their families. Former student Phyllis Webstad told her story that on her first day at the residential school, her shiny new orange shirt bought by her grandmother was taken from her. She was 6 years old then. According to Phyllis, the color orange has always reminded her that her feelings didn't matter and how she was worth nothing. The event's mission statement, "Every Child Matters," is a response to these feelings of worthlessness that the children felt in residential schools. September 30th has been chosen as the day for this annual event and recognition because this is the time of the year in which children were forcibly taken from their homes and families to attend residential schools. Canadians across the country and abroad continues to participate on this day, wearing their orange shirts, calling upon everyone to listen to survivors of the residential school system atrocities and remembering the children who didn't make it out alive. Yolanda Espiras, Toronto, Ontario, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
ChatGPT can now fetch data directly from the internet. Its creator, OpenAI, says the generative AI platform can now gather up-to-date information in real time. Elise Danielle tells us more.
A major milestone for ChatGPT. In a post on X, software creator OpenAI says ChatGPT can now browse the internet to provide users with current and authoritative information, complete with direct links to sources. It says ChatGPT is no longer limited to data before September 2021. Until today, ChatGPT responses to user queries were based on a vast database. That database, however, did not contain information from after August 2021. Its latest feature would let sites control how ChatGPT interacts with them. OpenAI launched the update for its paying subscribers in June. This payment update, however, was suspended after users managed to bypass paywalls on internet content. The Browse with Bing feature is reserved for paying subscribers of ChatGPT Plus and enterprise services, but OpenAI says this feature would soon be available to all users. Latest available data says ChatGPT currently has over 100 million users and generates 1 billion queries a day. Elise Danielle, College Park, Maryland, Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
In other news, the government reports that new home sales in the country slowed down in August. It, however, remains elevated. Extremely limited supply in the housing market kept the number of transactions high. Again, Rosel Feria has the details.
Right now, here in the U.S., inventory for existing homes is very low. Thus, potential home buyers are looking into purchasing new properties, which elevates the demand for them. This, despite high mortgage rates brought about by the Fed's campaign of interest rate hikes aimed at taming inflation. Current lending rates have pushed up borrowing costs on popular 30-year mortgages in the country. This makes it harder for Americans to buy a home. This also discourages existing homeowners who bought during the recent period of historically low interest rates from selling their properties. The U.S. Federal Reserve has increased interest rates 11 times over the last 18 months. Inflation remains stuck above the central bank's long-term target of 2%. Rosel Feria, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Extraordinary stories from ThomasILikness today. From robots at the Asian Games, to Swim Month for Canines in Sweden, to dog moviegoers setting a world record. These and more on Correspondent at Large.
And now news and commentary from around the globe. September is over. Kids are back in school. Just curious, what did you include in school supplies this year? What's different from when you were a student? In the U.S., a typical high school backpack contains books, homework, lunch, of course, and these days, Narcan, also known as Naloxone. Narcan? The opioid overdose reversal drug?
I usually keep mine in my bag.
And I keep mine in my little pencil pouch.
Apparently, a growing number of high schoolers are packing it, like these two, Jackson Danzig and Marin Peel, both 17. Both are trained to use it. Danzig says he carries it because he wants to be prepared in case someone he knows ODs.
If you have Narcan and are trained, you would have the opportunity to save that friend or acquaintance or even, I don't know, teacher's life if you had to.
For Peel, it's personal.
After the kids who died in, I think it was early February, I just got really passionate about it.
A sad state of affairs when education has to be prepared for things like opioid overdoses, mass shootings, bullying. I fear the carefree days of childhood have been lost. Researchers in Sweden have created the first female crash test dummy. Is this some kind of politically correct move? No, says engineer Tommy Peterson. He says the female mannequin takes into account anatomical differences, like the narrow shoulder area, wider hip area. Peterson says a crash affects men and women differently.
The muscles in the neck is weaker normally in a woman. So you can see if you compare this with a human model or with a male dummy, you can see this neck is more flexible and movements if you perform exactly the same crash test, the same speed and the same deceleration.
A U.S. study says women are 73% more likely than men to be injured in a head-on collision. At this year's Asian Games, machines have replaced a lot of the hired help. The games are being held in Hangzhou, China, the unofficial home of the country's tech industry. Machines rule here. On-site, robot dogs, autonomous cooks, android pianists, and a driverless ice cream truck toil away. This array of gadgets is there to serve, to amuse, and to police visitors. An automated mosquito trapper roams the village, zapping the pests. It can mimic a person's body temperature and breathing. Robotic dogs patrol electrical facilities. Similar versions of the mechanical mutts dance along to the music of an android that tickles the ivories. Vending machines prepare food. There's even a Pong bot that athletes can use to test their table tennis skills. And while all of this is interesting, fears again are being raised that machines will make millions of jobs obsolete. And an outdoor swimming pool in southern England this month has been billed as Dogtember. The folks running the Saldine Lido at Brighton open up the pool to canine swimmers on the 4 weekends of September. Derek Chester, who runs the pool, says they've been doing it for years.
So we thought once the human season ends, at the end of the summer, why shouldn't we just open it up for people that love dogs as well?
Chester says people come from all over the UK to visit, and he says the event raises money for the upkeep of the Lido.
It's such a successful event, the income from the dog swims actually supports the human swims throughout the season because it's such a big pool, we heat it, and it's very expensive as well.
About 8,000 dogs and people visited the pool this year. One more dog story. Paramount Studios has broken a Guinness World Record for the most dogs attending a film screening. More than 200 canines and their owners attended an outdoor screening of Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie. Paramount's Jennifer Lynch says they were looking for a different type of promotion.
So we thought, what can we do creatively that will be as fun and as inspiring as Paw Patrol itself? And the idea to bring all of these dogs together in one place and to celebrate Paw Patrol, we think it's a hit.
The record to beat was 199 dogs. Paw Patrol drew 219, giving the studio the new record. Guinness judge Michael Emprick says it was a fun event.
You know, Americans love spending time with their pets and going to the movies, so to do both at the same time together, it's a gorgeous day, and I was excited to be here.
Paramount organized the event with the Best Friends Animal Society to promote pet adoption. I'll be back in 7 days, and in the meantime, I wish you all peace, joy, and happiness in the ensuing week. ThomasILikness, Correspondent at Large, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Let's head over to Papua New Guinea as our team gets a first look at the newest designs showcased in this year's Fashion Week. Ecco Hortaleza-Quiñola on Oceania at a Glance.
I am here at Hilton Hotel to witness the Paradise Fashion Runway.
Local designers and their culture-inspired creations are the highlight of the Paradise Runway and Papua New Guinea Fashion Week. Director and founder Phili Kelegai calls the show Future of the Culture under the theme Voyager. 15 aspiring designers showcase the quality and authenticity of Papua New Guinea garments, accessories, and headdresses. The show aims to inspire locally and international markets to patronize Papua New Guinea-made clothing, arts, and craft.
And I want us to acknowledge that this is still quite young here in Papua New Guinea as an industry.
Spectators see how clothes move once models wear each designer's masterpieces.
PNG fashion, very authentic, very original. We've got very diverse culture and it shows in all the work of the designers.
PNG Fashion Week, it's an awesome concept. It's a very young industry, but it's growing. And to see the amount of, and the work that's put into the designs that come out each year, I am really looking forward to, the years to come. So well done to PNG Fashion Week, Philly and the team. And well done to all the designers, and how good were the models, man. The gents and the ladies have done really well.
Applause surround the runway. The show ended with the announcement of winners and awarding of prizes.
I didn't think this would be able to come out of a cultural background with the designs that we've tried to merge with the modern ones. I'm not a fashion expert or anything, but I think it's pretty amazing.
The amount of talent from the designers alone are just so amazing. It's interesting to watch and see how it unfolds. And so I'm so impressed.
Good range of displayed tonight. Amazing talent.
Ecco, Hortaleza-Quiñola, Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
And before we let you go, here's our photo of the week. This is the Monster Building in Hong Kong. AtlasObscura.com describes it as an E-shaped complex composed of 5 connecting structures. These buildings were built during a population boom in the 1960s. Units were offered as government-subsidized housing for low-income residents. Thank you, JC Beltran, RC, for this photo. Thank you all for joining us again. If there are stories or topics you want us to share with you, just comment below. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and X at Eagle News Live. I am EJayGonzales. We live in extraordinary times. Stay happy and healthy, everyone.